Good afternoon, ladies and gents. I'm filming this on Tuesday, although it's to go on Thursday because this is a bank holiday and this is the quietest we're ever going to see this area. It's a little bit sombre at the beginning, but it gets better, so never fear. But yeah, where we are now, we're in the grounds of St Bartholomew's Hospital, and we are in the origins or foundation of really where this page began. It began as something very, very unpleasant and turned out for the good in the end. Not that I'd wish to repeat the experience, not at all. This is the west wing of St Bartholomew's Hospital, and I won't go into the complete length thing of it because I'm quite sure you don't wish to hear it. But anyway, cut a long story short, I had an extremely adverse reaction to the COVID vaccine, which no one knew it was an adverse reaction to that first. And I had a great big massive ulceration type thing on my left leg, and it wouldn't get better anyway, and they did this and did that and whatnot, and I was referred here to the cancer department, and that's where I was told that they thought it might be melanoma cancer. And for 5 weeks really I went thinking that I did have cancer. Funny thing is, I wasn't scared or afraid or anything like that. So yeah, that appointment was not nice. And why I consider myself to be so lucky today really is I sat in that place. My leg was bad. It was unpleasant and it stank. It was really horrible. But I sat near people that were in a far worse state than I was. People that won't be here now. And I am here, so there we are. And that was the starting of it really. And then a month after that, we lost Fred, one of our dear old friends, and he was an older person that we used to stay with in Rye on the farm. COVID and the lockdowns and everything caused them to lose their farm, and that really broke his heart. He was a very old man. He was in his 80s. He'd lived a good long life, and I won't go into the full ins and out of that, but that's private. But his last words on earth were not to be sad, like to his wife and friends and family and stuff. And then 1 month after that, I lost my friend Stephen. Not to natural circumstances, if you know what I mean, and that was caused by COVID and lockdowns. The family court system ground to a halt. I won't even use the name what I call his ex-missus, but she wouldn't let him see the kids. He lost his job, he lost everything, and he couldn't deal with that, and we lost him. Anyway, back to where this kind of began really. This is the hospital chapel of St Bartholomew the Less. Many, many hundreds of years old. Damaged, repaired, heavily restored in the Victorian era, which is a lot of what you can see there. But yeah, after that appointment, my dad was waiting outside in the car for me because I did want to go into the appointment on my own. That's me, that's what I'm like. Deal with things best like that on my own. So yeah, after the appointment I went in here, and as I say, let's remove my hat when we get to the dock, it's very cold. Here we are. And as I say, the thing is, I wasn't scared or afraid really. I was shocked. I think the ladies in the hospital were quite shocked at my response. Calm and collected. I didn't break down or anything like that. Yes, it's a horrible thing to be told. Very earth-shattering moment, as they say. I'm going to leave my hat there. I came in here. We're alone, it is quiet, that's good. Now, I won't go ram my religious beliefs down your throat. I don't believe in that sort of thing. But this is known as the Healing Chapel. St Bartholomew, the healing saint. saint where there was miracles, and Prior Rahia, founded all this so many hundreds of years ago, and the miracles that occurred at his grave and around himself. And this is where I came and sat. In here. I stayed in here for about 20 minutes, I think. I don't really remember. But I didn't ask for my life to be spared or anything like that. What I asked for was to die with peace of mind. Because I'd suffered from depression very, very badly. From the age of 17 until really when all this happened, and I still have my bad points. But today, well, I sat there and that's what I asked for. Anyway, some other things occurred at another church, which is only a stone's throw away from here. I spoke to a priest, and he gave me a blessing. And it was a nice feeling and whatnot. I told him all what had gone on. And when I came back to my appointment here, in the meantime, I'd been being treated by the nurse, this practice nurse, for the wound on my leg because it needed dressing and cleaning, and if it wouldn't get better. Anyway, it started to get better all of a sudden. They couldn't explain it, the doctors, I couldn't explain it. And I was very pleased about it, and it turned out that once my blood results came back, I went 5 weeks, and then I had my appointment here. Things were a bit lengthier because don't forget we was in the lockdown and everything. This is 2021, early 2022 and all that kind of thing. 2021 really. Yeah. And I came back and it was getting better, and the results that it wasn't cancer. And as I said to you outside, in the meantime of that, I'd lost 2 good friends. One of them was really one of the best friends I've ever had, and he was near my own age. And he always called me and Simon his brothers, because he didn't have brothers. And it was like that in a way. And I must admit, that really did break my heart, losing him. But and this I will not go into the full ins and out of. No one will see that letter until I'm dead. But he left us a letter. Simon and Sarah, that's who he lived with, our friends. And I was something in the letter for me as well. And he made us asked us to keep certain promises, do certain things. And that, my friends, is where this page began. From all that misery, the page, I think, is a good thing. I hope it brings as enough happiness to people as it has to me. And from all that pain came a healing for me as well. Now, as I say, I'm not the most pious or religious of people. I do have my beliefs. But a phrase that always just keeps coming to my mind when I think of this is, God moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. My friends at Barking think it was St. Bartholomew or Prior Rahia, or maybe the blessing from the vicar of St. Bart's. Is a lovely man, he is. Yeah, this is the location I wanted to choose today, because most of the locations I do are churches, and this is the first ever one I did for the page, the first location, so to speak, first London location. So yes, as I said at the beginning, it was a bit miserable, that, wasn't it? But I hope you take the good message from it that I've tried to put across, which is, no matter how shitty things get, don't give up. I nearly did. 2022 has been one of the best years of my life, I must admit. I'm not the best educated of men. I don't know who or what or how all that happened and how it all turned. But for whatever or however it all turned, my God, do I owe that a lasting debt of gratitude. That's new. Oh. William Coulter, clerk to the governors, 1661 to 1675. Founded in 1674 in the region of his birth. The school at Abbeystead over Wearsdale, Lancashire, buried here on the 23rd of November 1683. Oh, that's very interesting. See, look, this is what I say before, I do these locations a fair bit, different locations. But when you do revisits, things do change. Even churches, churches you think as fairly unchanging structures, but they change. And the heavy restoration in the Victorian period, all this fancy work is an ironwork ceiling. The floor was collapsing and everything in those days. This is the parish organ. That is the great organ up there, which seldom works. Old church organs are a big problem. That's why a lot of churches like St Margaret's have pianos. In the olden days, before the piano came along, the church would have its parish band. And I may snip a parish band onto this, because we're still in the Christmas era. And how long am I? Oh, I've still got plenty of time, excellent. We're in a very, very old place, and it's Christmas time. And the way we celebrate Christmas is worlds apart to the way our ancestors celebrated it. Some of us, not all, some of us put our decorations up as early as the end of November. But in those days, the Christmas decorations, which were not tin foil and electrical lights and things, they were the natural greenery that you got from the landscape. The family would go out and either gather them, or if you lived in a town or city, you'd go to the cartman that brought it in and buy it. And you'd decorate your house on Christmas Eve. And that's really when Christmas would begin, the 12 days of Christmas. And it would end on 12th night. And presents were usually exchanged on 12th night rather than on Christmas Day, as we do. I'll either snag it onto this as an edit, or it will appear in the same, like as a part 1 and a part 2, some historical type Christmas stuff, which is interesting, if you like the history and all that. Yeah. So, ladies and gents, that is where London Luke's page began. It's funny, isn't it, the way things turn out? You've got lots of memorials. John Darker, Esquire, was treasurer of the hospital. That's that one there. And out here, more burials. Mr. Thomas Sprigg, citizen, Cooper of London. Cooper's a barrel maker. And it wasn't a labourer barrel maker, he owned the business that made barrel. What on earth was that? Okay. Trick of the light. So I went past there. My foot. Rubbing at the brass of William and Alice Markby. That's medieval. And then you've got a parish chest. And a lot of these old chests, they were known as bread chests or bread cupboards. In the old days, before benefits and all that kind of thing existed, the rich parishioners, they would all, and everyone would be taught the lesson of charity. And if you had a lot, you were taught to be grateful and to share. So the rich parishioners would often leave bread and things like that, and at Christmas time they would leave little gifts like a little bit of money or some sweetmeats, which is like what we call sweets, and things like that. Down here, and I won't go down there because it's absolutely rotten. Down there, let's turn my thing on, is a crypt. it's not, no bodies or anything down there. It's used for the heating and everything now, and it was done like that from Victorian times. But you go down there into a little room, and it's bricked off, and that goes around the church, that crypt, and that's where all these people who are mentioned on these stones on the floor in this church are buried, because it doesn't have a churchyard. I'll end you at that bit last, I think. No, I won't, no, because I've got something else planned for last. This was an impromptu one. No, it wasn't. It wasn't impromptu. I had this planned for the anniversary for the page. But normally I don't write scripts and shit like that. But I do plan stuff out. And I'm not a particularly open person with my innermost thoughts and feelings. So this is probably about the most open you're going to get me, I'm afraid. And do try and, if anyone can, I know when things are really bad, and for me, the illness wasn't the worst of it for me. That I was quite calm and collected about that. It was my poor parents that were more freaked out about it. I don't know. Just what I say from all that pain and unpleasantness and misery, because it was a horrible time. Losing friends and thinking that you may possibly die or lose your leg or something like that. I mean, because this thing was from my ankle up to my knee, like on the calf area where the muscle is, and it went in quite deep. The worst of it for me, the most embarrassing thing for me, I must admit, as someone who finds Henry VIII so very interesting, I ended up for a short time smelling like the damn man. You know, he had severe leg ulcers and in an age before antibiotics. These here are where the church warden's wands would go, or rods or staffs of office. Barking, as I've said to you before, anyone that's watched, is unusual because it has 3 church wardens. Most churches have 2. And this church is a little bit more unusual because it is a parish church, but it is also a particular in that it is a hospital church as well, like a chapel of ease. And although the interior has changed a vast amount, so the foundations, the age, and most importantly, the feeling and all those years of prayer are still here. And that's something you can feel. I mean, Barking, I am loyal to Barking. It is my favourite parish church because it's kind of in church world, it's our ancestral home. It's where my ancestors were at for the longest, one group of my ancestors were at for the longest period of time. And I do feel a special link to it. But this church is, without any shadow of a doubt, my second favourite, for the reasons that I named. So, and now, my little pretty chickadee chews, I shall pause you for a moment while I set something up. Okay, so shall see you in a minute. Good afternoon, ladies and gents, again, and you're going to hear me ring some of the oldest church bells in London that still hang in their original medieval bell frame. Here we go. You don't pull the ropes down like that, it's a pulley system. You ring us. There you go. And then you ring the thanking bell or the healing bell, which a lot of people ring when they make recoveries and things. There we are. And the little tune that you heard before, the big thanking bell, which is a thanking bell, I made up myself. And we're going to call that London Thanks. I was going to call it London Luke, but that seems a bit big-headed and I hate arrogance and things, so we're going to call that London Thanks. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where London Luke's page began. Do excuse all the building mess, but I do capture these things because they are still a part of the history, so. And you can see by the old bricked-in doorways and archways and everything that this church has been here a very long time and has had a lot of changes over its life. It was badly damaged in the Second World War, you see. Victorian period, it was described as nearly falling down, and a few of the churches ended up like that. Even the one in the Tower of London, that ended up like that, and Queen Victoria nearly fell over on the dodgy floor and wasn't best pleased about it. So yeah, anyway, guys and girls, I don't know whether to say I hope you all enjoyed that or not, but I hope you all found it informative, and maybe you might take some lessons away from what we've spoken about today. We'll give another quick flash of that area because it is very quiet today. Anyone that wants to go to a very good museum, there it is in there. Normal opening hours, check the St Bartholomew Hospital Museum and you'll find the opening hours online. So yeah, that was phase one of that, and that is a part of me that I wish to forget, and it's dealt with. And so that was my trouble before all this. I didn't let go of things, you see, and I brooded, and I suppose in a sense I probably needed to grow up a little bit as well and buck my ideas together, and 2020 and 2021 certainly did that. And you know what they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that's true. It certainly has for me. So the bell rope is still dancing about a little bit, bless its little cartons. And there we are, ladies and gents. that's where, well, I told you about that, didn't I? But where I've got reason to be very, very grateful. So remember, guys and girls, life is very precious, and things do change, and they can change, so try and bear that in mind. Take care all.